We never got caught, did we?
What a nice surprise. Bring your alibi.
Remember that interview you were asking us, you know, is this your dream? You're in Hollywood? We were making a movie in Hollywood, and you walk outside the door, it's full of transvestites, you know, yeah, and lying on your can't sleep. That's my dream? I don't think so.
In their master's chambers, we gathered for the feast.
Oh, we were both delivery guys for Sunblest. Yeah, we'd have a beer together. We just became friends, you know.
I always remember Jeff, he lived right around the corner from me in Caerphilly, offering me, I think he had £2,000. I always remember him saying, you know, it's yours.
John had already left the Red and opened a sort of supermarket thing. And he said to me, there's money in this video, you know. And I thought, yeah, right. But as it turned out, there was money in the video.
At the time they were saying the video boom was coming to an end. Anyway, nevertheless, I went into it and decided to open a video store and start a little wholesale business. So I started to go down to London and buy tapes and start to supply people like myself. And it was all too much, and I needed a partner.
You know what it was like in the early days of the video business? I mean, some of the movies that went out there were just unbelievably bad. So bad. Stuff you'd never heard of, stuff they'd dug up from anywhere and everywhere.
I first met John and Jeff on the set of a film called The Comic, which was a very low-budget feature film, actually my first feature film. And we were setting up a scene in a nightclub in Cardiff. The crew were largely inexperienced, and so it was quite hard work to get things happening. The producer-director dragged me off the set to meet these two guys. I knew the production was in trouble with money and thought, well, these two look like a couple of angels, to use a theatrical expression. They look like the guys who are going to bail it out.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Some guy had come to us, he'd already finished a movie. Technicolor had got the movie in their stores, wouldn't release it because he owed them £5,000, I think it was. So we paid the £5,000 over to get the picture out and decided to release it in the UK.
Then he talked us into financing a movie, which was the Battle of the Falklands, which was going to be shot on a golf course in Caerphilly, where all the soldiers had golf clubs.
John went down to the set a couple of days. I went once, and probably a couple of months later, John said, you know, I think we could make a movie. I'll direct, you produce. And I said, I know nothing about producing. He said, I know nothing about directing. But we went out and did it.
You mustn't talk to strangers now. You mustn't talk to them.
He gave me a call and we ended up having a meeting, and he said, I'm going to write a film. Will you help me make it? We struck a deal. And he said, there's not an awful lot of money, but you'll get plenty of WWE. And I said, oh yeah. And he said, yeah, worldwide exposure. So we ended up putting this film together called Good Night, God Bless.
It survives on your fear. Good night, God bless. Your nightmare has arrived.
I always remember the leading actress that we used in it. She came to the audition, she'd been given the screenplay, and she turned around and she said to me and Jeff, so this is the treatment? I didn't know what to say, and I says, yes. So I remember she left and said to Jeff, and Jeff said to me, what's the treatment? I said, I don't know, it's something you go to the doctors for, I'm not sure what it is. So we had to find out what. We then asked somebody, you know, obviously it meant something. It was like film talk, you know. And so we asked somebody, and they explained that a treatment is a short version of a screenplay. So I says, oh dear. So I took the screenplay and put another 20 pages on it. So when I had 69, I thought, that's got to be enough.
The audition was at the Royal Hotel in Cardiff. And I walked in, panel of people. I didn't know any of them apart from my agent. They introduced themselves as the director, the producer, and whatever. And it was pretty soon apparent that this was their first big effort in films.
He did the best New York accent. Because even just going to the film markets, we realized that we sort of felt we had to put that American flavor in it to sell it internationally. So this guy did a decent New York accent, so we hired him as that he was a cop on loan from America and got involved in this case in London.
Joe Yanovich.
Good afternoon, sir.
How many dead?
A couple of days later, I got a call from the agent say, "You've been offered the job. Do you want it? It's non-negotiable. The fee is crap. It's £250 a week for a month, which for the lead in a film isn't exactly a fortune. But because it was a lead in a film, I said, yeah, sure, I'll take it."
We'd put the camera across the street at the main Cardiff police station, and we'd ask him to wait until uniformed police were walking up the steps, and then walk out the door and say good morning, and they would say good morning, and we'd get it on camera. You know, so just the silly little things like that, because who would have asked, somebody would have said no. So we'd be hiding behind bushes with a camera across the road somewhere, you know.
Because John didn't have any technical skill at that time, one of the problems that he would have is visualizing how people would relate to each other. We'd sometimes have problems with crossing the line, as we say.
The first day we were shooting, the first AD ran into my office and said, "We've got a major problem." I said, "What's that?" He said, "John keeps crossing the line." And I says, "Oh, really?" He said, "It's really serious." So at lunchtime I said to John, "I don't know what line you're crossing, but you've got to stop crossing it because it's serious." And he didn't even know either. And that's the truth, really.
Please, sit down.
Okay.
Crossing the line is really reference to screen direction.
The teacher who was killed. Can you tell me anything about her?
Her name was Rose.
If you've got two people in a scene talking to each other, one's looking left to right, the other one looks right to left, you then are given the impression that they are looking at each other.
Did she have
If
any
they're
enemies?
both looking left to right, then if the audience have this obvious feeling that something's wrong.
I can't think why anyone should do such a terrible thing.
Oh yeah, we had a ball. We had a ball, we didn't know what the hell we was doing, but we was having a good time.
Look, guys, why don't you just go home and sleep it off, huh?
We sold all over the world, quite honestly. It sold all over the world, it made a profit. We didn't make $1 million out of it, but it did okay.
It's just a joke.
Well, the money we made from that, we went to Canada and made another movie for I think it was $250,000. We just turned up in Vancouver and shot a movie. I think we shot it in about 18 days.
It had car chases and it had, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And it was called Slow Burn. The movie did okay. Again, we didn't really know. We were still feeling our way.
Freeze, motherfucker! You have the right to remain silent.
Yeah, we were learning, we were upping the budgets. Obviously, with more money, you get more, better talent.
Forever.
I think one of the problems with making Slow Burn for John, I think, was that he, for the first time, was dealing with American actors, and one or two of them were probably at the time in their careers where they were having problems, and I think he learned a lot of sort of management skills during that of how to mollycoddle them along. Vancouver's a very vibrant, exciting city, looks like almost anywhere in the States, and so you can make films there cheaper than you can in the States, and they look as if they've been shot in LA or whatever. And so consequently, they got into making American-style action pictures.
Good afternoon, EGM Film. Yes, John, just 1 moment, please.
We decided really to cut out everybody else because, in this business there's so many people who will basically screw you over.
Well, Matt did say that Donald Sutherland wanted to play the lead. I got more...
We had our own distribution company. We had our own international sales company. And so we decided if we controlled every aspect of it, really nobody could do much to us.
Obviously the package was strong before when Ed Harris was going to do it, and Holly Hunter was going to do it, and and Alice Howard and Amy Madigan. It was a nice, good ensemble cast.
We were trying to put this, I think, a movie together with Pauline Collins, and it was called In the Mood. It was a great script, and she wanted to do it. But because it was a love story, we couldn't get the money for it. Nobody would give us the money, so I said, why don't we do Die Hard in a hospital? And John says, yeah, we'll make the bad guy an android. And then we went to the next movie, which was Project Shadow Chaser, about an android.
We had to bring in 4 American actors. It's impossible. Had to shoot in London, at Pinewood Studios, which is a great experience. And I felt like a filmmaker, you know, I felt legit.
Don't give them anything.
So predictable.
Just tell us what it is you want.
$50 million.
Where the hell do you think we're going to get that kind of money from?
We mortgaged our houses and lent $1 million from Barclays Bank. Soho. I remember coming out of there the day we got the $1 million, and John and I, we looked at each other and went, Jesus, who'd really lend us $1 million?
You've got 2 minutes to clear this area.
Equity, they recommended to the Home Office that we shouldn't be allowed the work permits for the 4 American leads, and the reason that was given by the Home Office to us was that the budget wasn't big enough. And so I went and visited the Home Office myself. I sat down with the guy who literally knew nothing about the film business. And then this guy said, but we decided to take a broader view of the issue. And I says, well, what do you mean? And he said, well, and it's obviously it was due to the meeting that we had, otherwise he wouldn't have known us, he wouldn't have been able to touch and feel somebody and, you know, and see who he was speaking to. He said, he quoted me Confucius. And he said, you know what Confucius say, don't you, Mr. Ayres? And I said, no. He says, well, Confucius says that to travel 1,000 miles, first you must take a single step. And they overruled equity and allowed the work permits. And so, but for that guy, we never would have made Shadow Chaser, you know? And I probably wouldn't be sat here right now talking about filmmaking, maybe. Who knows? I don't know.
John's not a real planner, but he definitely is somebody who's very visual. He's not somebody who likes to put it all down on paper. And I've been with directors who put everything down on paper and the film's terrible. I've been with directors who walk on the set and say this would look good. And John's kind of the guy who walks on the set and say this is what I want to see. And we had very collaborative effort. He would take input from myself and from other actors, and you'd find a happy medium. There was a very good work atmosphere on Shadow Chaser 1. And Shadow Chaser 1 just sort of had a spark to it.
Going somewhere.
I weighed 160 when I started the movie, and I ended up at the end of the movie weighing 130. And that's stress. I couldn't eat, I would vomit. It was a mess.
There's times when I felt like a failure, but I think that most directors probably go through that, you know, because it's a martyrdom thing, you know. You always feel like you're alone and nobody cares and you're on your cross, you know, and there's people laughing around you and you wonder what they're laughing at. They're probably laughing at something. They're not laughing at you. Laughing at somebody else who's telling a joke somewhere, you know, but you're behind schedule, that's all you know. You're behind schedule, you know, you're rewriting a scene, you know. I used to go hide in the toilet. I used to hide in the toilets in Pinewood, and I wasn't even on the toilet, but I'd sit and put my feet up so they couldn't see me under the stall and they'd be screaming looking for me, you know, because the only place where I could get any peace and quiet to rewrite the scene to enable us to get through the day.
Got to say, Project Shadow Chase, the tension was just incredible.
We had lines outside our office, people trying to buy it for different territories.
And we didn't quite know what we'd done, you know. We didn't really, we couldn't comprehend what it was so special about it. We just made a movie, you know, and I don't know. I mean,
there's holes in it.
I can look back on it now.
It's a good movie.
And say, you know, hey, that was a damn good effort for the dollars, you know.
Totally, absolutely. For the money, that was a great movie. I defy anybody to say it wasn't. It was a leap.
Well, it was a leap in the fact that
you never know you've got that leap until the picture's finished, you know that.
No, you don't.
You never know what you've got. Until,
no, you don't.
Nobody. That's why Spielberg makes movies that don't work sometimes, because you really don't know what you've got until the end. You can get a feel, but you never know if you're right. Sometimes you feel a movie's going to be really good, and it isn't. Sometimes you don't feel it's going to be any good, and it is. You can break that down to scenes, can't you? you think a scene isn't going to work when you
Yes.
do it. You get it in the edit suite and it's a wonderful scene, and vice versa. You remember that scene with the helicopter and Frank in the grass? I mean, okay, you loved the scene, but it didn't work.
No,
You know? You know,
we did a shot. We did a shot. we did
a Sunday, a day off.
We did a
say
shot
one
on a
day off,
Sunday
you
on a
know?
day off with a helicopter with our lead male android running naked through some cornfield. And the grass was about the same height as the bottom of his waist, so, you know.
It whipped him to death.
His, you know, his genitals got whipped to death, you know what I mean? And we never
didn't use it.
And we never put it in the movie, you know, because it didn't work. I mean, it didn't work, you know. But that's the beauty of filmmaking. That's what I love about it, is you don't know.
You don't know.
And it's the don't knowing that makes you want, that excites you. Because if you knew, every movie would be successful, and then it would be boring.
John and Jeff are not guys who grew up in Hollywood, who were spoiled, who had a lot of money growing up. They're guys that, you know, had it hard growing up. So when they go to video stores and they see movies, they see it like anybody sees it, like the majority of the people see it. And that's the key, is to say, you know, what does a guy in middle America want to see? Or what does a guy who's working 9 to 5 doing a construction job and he wants to rent a video, what does he want to see? These other people are so unattached.
Shadow Chaser created a lot of attention, and most of the people that took notice was the US. Me and Jeff agreed that I would come and open the office in Los Angeles, and then we would commute, so to speak, you know, so that we'd have a base here. And that's how it originally started. And of course, you know, quite frankly, within the space of, what, 2 or 3 years, it appeared that everything was being done from the Los Angeles office, so it just came to a natural end to close the office in Cardiff. Selling movies is no different than being on a Mackie stall in Blackwood, except you're not selling a £2.50 t-shirt for £5. You're selling a $250,000 movie for that territory. There's no difference, and you've got to treat it the same way. If you become in awe of the amount of money that's involved, then I think it'll inhibit you from what you're supposed to do. But do you know something? There's probably 7% of movies that make a profit, and we've never made a movie that's not made a profit. It looks great. I mean, this is like 100% on the first one.
Okay.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it looks really good.
Yeah,
I think it looks...
Well, you're working on a low budget. You're trying to do more than what you should. I won't say capable of doing. You're trying to stretch yourself so thin because you're reaching for the stars, basically. You're saying, I want it all. I want the cake, I want the cherry, I want to be able to eat it. And there inevitably comes a time when you're making a movie when you have to settle for a little bit less, because you know that if you settle for that little bit less, sometimes you know it'll be better than trying to stretch. Now, I've learned that you have to know when you can stretch and when you can't stretch. And sometimes by stretching, it gets lost.
How much are you paying for the
235 yen.
So 235 in and
I think
185 out.
230 or 235 yen.
That's for the in, 235.
Yeah.
And 185 for the out. Okay. I think you get a better price on it. I'm not sure.
Well, I mean, I'd be interested.
You would?
Yeah.
I know 2 people right now. I think I can get a better deal.
EGM makes films that are in many ways more American than films that are made by Americans. They have a kind of, I won't say a retro quality about them, because they're really state-of-the-art, but they have a kind of familiarity to them. There's something about them that feels comfortable and comforting. They're not overly cerebral.
Lady, put the gun down!
Okay, freeze! Okay, lady. Put the gun down.
I said that already.
When we were writing the script, it was called Tucker and Flynn at the time. A German investor expressed interest of paying for the whole picture, and us setting up a partnership. So I went to Germany I remember parking my car in LAX in the short term, thinking I'd be 4 days to go do this deal. I ended up being like 39 days in Germany, coming back to a $700 parking bill. And but we got the money. The guy, you know, was as good as his word. We made the movie, and you know, he's made money.
What am I to do with you, Katja?
It's a suicide. That 5 witnesses, man, 5.
Yeah, every one of them on Villano's payroll.
They were a dream to work with. Lou Gossett, John Hurt. I mean, what more can you ask for? You know, you're dealing with people like that. You know, Bill Paxton. Bill Paxton was in awe of John Hurt. You know, who isn't in awe of John Hurt? You know, is a great actor. So to work with those sort of people for me was, when you said before, out your depth, at that moment, does something flicks through your mind? You know, am I gonna be able to do this? Because these are people that have worked with some of the best directors in the world.
I think John's biggest attribute is how good he is in post-production. He's very good with sound, he's very good with editing, and most of the movies in the genre take a step down in post-production. The sound is not too good, the music's not too good, the editing's sort of haphazard. John takes a lot of risk with his editing. He always brings the movie up a level, and everybody in the business knows it. It's amazing what we can pull off for the money. He gets a lot of bang for his buck.
Max, look out!
We're off shooting something else. We'll come back and shoot the inserts for the actors. And you guys go off and do the window fall.
Okay, well, when did I come into your way?
The bottom line is, this is a factory line. The bottom line is, you know, can you make me a profit? But I hate the bottom line, and I hate it with a passion, and I see it every day, and sometimes the bottom line destroys the movie. You know, I think that you have to, if you like, adopt a business sense to it all. But that business sense has to be, you know, I don't want to make $2 profit and do it 3 times and everybody gets tired of what I'm doing. I'm very happy to make $1 profit because, quite frankly, it's not just about a lack of greed, if you like, but it's about a lack of pride in what you're doing. I want people to sit down and watch the movie and say, wow, I enjoyed that.
I like the white, but I think we should have blue in there too.
That's cool.
So we got some?
We got blue on there already.
Let's do it. Camera, action!
I think we're street smart. You know, somebody wants $100,000 and you say, I'll give you 75, and he says, make it 90, and you go, okay. Well, why don't we make it 89? Why don't we make it 88? Because that's $2,000. It's a lot of money. But you forget. $2,000 is $2,000. If I said there's $2,000, then people would fall on it. But, you know, in the film business, people forget that it doesn't, you get up there with the high figures and it doesn't relate anymore. And it's scary. Because I saw myself doing it sometimes. You got the Martinez in Cannes for a beer and it's $10. And you just go, Joe and Charlie, 20, oh thanks Fred, $30 and $30. For that, you go in Cardiff, you go out and have dinner, you know what I mean?
It took a while to know that the slap on the back doesn't always mean that, you know, we're going to do business together, or the, you know, come and see me tomorrow doesn't mean really come and see me tomorrow, you know. So now I don't worry about whether I have to go see somebody tomorrow. And again, it doesn't consume my thoughts. You know, the talk about this, a bigger movie or a studio movie or what. I just get on with what I'm doing, you know. So every time we move from this section, we're going to have to pull lights and put them over there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Do all your stuff over here first.
So anything shooting then, looking back this way, then I'll have no light back here. Is that what we're saying?
We'll have to find some more lights or something.
Is there any lights around?
We're pretty close to max on everything.
I just didn't want to be in the film business anymore. It wasn't fun anymore. It has to be fun. You've got to have a passion for the film business because it consumes your life. And if you're gonna let it consume your life, you know, you've got to enjoy it. And I stopped enjoying it. John still loves every day. John's only happy in the office or on a film set. John doesn't enjoy holidays, nothing. He's possessed.
Ready on the next 3.
Okay.
Oh, I got a script I'm going to put you in. All right.
Clive, I'll see you. Oh, okay. Gotta keep your feet on the ground. I've got 3 rules in life. Civility is free. You know, it doesn't cost anything. Humility, I think you've got to keep it in abundance. And number 3, you've never made it. And it's not always easy because it's a very egotistical business. And it's like anything, whether you're up singing in front of 50 guys at the social club, you know, it's the same deal.
I still think I'm a regular guy. Now, you know, I've got this restaurant. I'm going to open 2 more restaurants in the next 3 months. And I'm very budget conscious. And I'm really happy right now in my life. And I'm not being in the film business, to be honest with you. Play golf 4 times a week. I love it. I love the weather. I think I may have grown up here.
There's times when I do want to go back to the UK. There's times when I miss it. But there's more times when I don't, as far as living there is concerned. There's a lot of reasons why I'd like to go back to the UK and live. And I don't think they're because I like the climate.
I have 2 children there, and I think the world of. I don't see them enough. I don't speak to them enough. But you know, that's the downside, I guess, of living in LA right now.
The price is your personal life. Which is something I regret tremendously, and I really do. But I think, not to qualify and not to make it sound okay, but I think in most things that you do, there's a trade-off somewhere, Or there's always something you haven't got, or something you want that you can have, but if you take that, you can't have the other. I don't know. It's very deep.
Dreams, the kinds of dreams that John has and the kinds of appetites that John has are not really part of the culture, not really part of the consensus, and they're the kinds of big dreams that are maybe poo-pooed a little bit and dismissed. And I suppose that to come up with those kinds of dreams in that environment requires, that he would have to have his feet firmly on the ground if he was going to have his head that far into the clouds. I have no doubt that eventually he will connect with the kind of film that he wants to make, and he'll make it, and he'll do very well with it.
No, 24. This is 24. Yeah, because this is pre the decompression. Oh, okay. Right. Don't kill yourself yet. We need you.
I think you've got to be passionate to be in the film business, and I didn't have the passion anymore. John's still got the passion, and hey, I hope he gets the biggest movie in town and wins an Oscar, because I know that's the only thing he ever really wants anyway.
Nice. And that'll just give you that, and then just go bang, and then go for that. So I don't slow it down too much, but we keep it, we keep the pace moving.
Yes, I've been up for several studio movies, and right now, as we speak, I'm up for a couple, and I've had a few meetings in the last couple of weeks that may or may not, bring the studio movie. Doesn't consume my life. I create my own work. I know that I've built up a respect as a film director, which is for me is the be all and the end all, is being a film director. That's what makes me emotional. That's what I enjoy doing.
Mama said there'd be days like this.
And the lights of LA County, they look like diamonds in the sky. When you're driving through the hours with an old friend at your side. But 1 year later, I left Houston.
Just do it.
It was like anything else in life, you got to do it.
That was our Oxford education that taught us that, wasn't it?
Yes, very much so.